Hey guys, what's up? Emily here, and today we're going to be going over the Reebok Nano X2. So first off, I'm an average CrossFitter. I have way too many shoes, and I get a lot of questions on what I like and recommendations. So I've been just putting together quick videos on my thoughts of each shoe. There's a lot of different CrossFit gear reviewers in this space, especially on YouTube. Joel over at As Many Reviews as Possible, Jake, that fit friend. But I noticed most of them are guys. So I thought it would just be good to get it from a female perspective. So I'm later getting this video out than I wanted to be. I've had these shoes for pretty close to 3 weeks. Yeah, they were released just the first part of April to Reebok Unlocked members, which by the way is free to sign up for, and you get early access to releases and special colorways, so go do it if you haven't. But I've been busy with work and different things, so I know there's a lot of different opinions and information already out there on the Nano X2, but I'm still gonna do the video and share my thoughts and information with you. Before we get started here, the first thing I'm gonna go over the differences between the X1 and the X2, my thoughts on the X1, which was last year's model, and then the upgrades they made to the X2 and kind of my thoughts on them. So first off, I did not like the X1. I'm just gonna start with that. Every 2 years, Reebok completely revamps their shoe. So we had the X. The X1 was a completely different shoe, upper, midsole, outsole, etc. And then the following year, they always piggyback off that. So for example, X1, X2 were similar, 9 and X were fairly similar, 7 and 8 were similar, and so forth. So I have had every Reebok Nano shoe from the 1 to the X2. I started CrossFit right around the time the 3s were out, and then because I had built such a nice collection, I found 1s and 2s. Well, I think I had a 2, but I found a 1 on eBay that was brand new to try out and compare, and it's very similar to the 2s. But so I've had them all. So I do have a pretty thorough overview of the styles and the feel of them that has changed over the years. So first off, the X1, starting with the upper, my foot slid around everywhere. I would even have times where my foot would slide over the midsole and outsole because this was pretty loose on my foot. And no matter how tight you laced it, you really couldn't get it cinched down sufficiently. My next least favorite thing is the heel. I never usually have issues with heel rub, and my Achilles rubbed to the point I got blisters. The next thing is the tongue. It has no little anchoring spot for the laces, and it's not gusseted in the sides of the walls of the upper, so it would slide everywhere to the point it would be clear over here mid-workout. 3 main things I didn't like are those. There were a lot of other complaints with like the Rope Pro. It flared up people's plantar fasciitis. But those are the main things that people didn't like. Reebok did an excellent job taking what people didn't like and changing those specific things. So with the X2, we have a new upper, similar outsole, similar midsole, lower heel, which why don't I just compare right now for you guys. Glancing at the shoes separately, you don't necessarily see that, but when they're side by side, you definitely can tell it's lower. So you have less Achilles rub, fewer chances of getting blisters. Tongue is now secured with the laces. They also upgraded the tongue in multiple ways, which we'll get into here in a little bit. So overall, the main things that people didn't like, they took and upgraded, besides the Rope Guard Pro. They did not change that. They did not change the outsole. They did not change the midsole. So all of those are things they didn't change. So the X1 for me, I wore it a few times, did a few workouts with it, realized no matter what movement I was doing, what lift I was doing, I didn't like it. I ended up turning these into my yard work and mowing shoes, and I can tolerate them for that. It was funny because right after they came out, Craig Ritchie was using it as a doorstop. His shoe was a doorstop as a joke, but just giving an example of how worthless they were to him, I guess. But pretty global. I didn't feel like people really liked the X1. I'm probably biased because I didn't like it, and I maybe fed off the negativity and the bad things about it. I'm sure there's people out there that like it, but I did not. So getting into the X2, the upper is updated flex weave material, which is not near as stretchy. It maybe does not breathe quite as good as the X1. The X1 was more perforated, but that did not bother me. My feet were not sweaty. They were not slipping and sliding in the shoes. Much more solid upper that keeps your foot in place nicely. The tongue is probably my favorite update. It's much thicker, held in place, and it's 3 different parts. There's a suede part and then perforated mesh basically. So it's pretty padded and thick, and it curves very nicely to your feet. The laces, and this may seem stupid to some people, but I absolutely love the laces on this shoe. They're flat and they're ribbed. So it's almost like a ribbon, but you can really cinch them down tightly and get a nice fit. I'm gonna move these so I quit bumping them. The outsole is identical, has a good tread pattern. I did not really hear of many complaints with the X1 outsole and tread. The midsole is the same. And that's the same thing they use in their runners, which I really like. It's responsive, but cushioned. Doesn't feel boggy. The insole is a nice satin. It feels satiny, very soft material, which that is the same as the X1s. I wasn't for sure, but I like the insole. It's simple, but it works. The heel clip is a little more pronounced, which is better for handstand push-ups. As you can see, it's a very hard plastic piece of TPU that's good for going up and down walls. The toe spring angle, to me, looks less. Maybe it just feels less because you have such a locked-in feel versus the X1, but I don't think you rock forward onto your toes during heavy squats as bad as I used to in the X1s, and I still feel pretty solid and planted. You'll rock forward a little bit during some movements, but not to the point you feel unsteady. Again, as far as the stability, I think these shoes are good. You have much more lateral stability with the different upper. You don't have your feet sliding around inside the shoe. Flexibility is good. I never felt like my range of motion or anything was limited as far as flexibility goes with my foot. As far as durability, I haven't had any issues with these shoes yet. I've worn them quite a bit, working out and to work. I did not do any rope climbs in them, and I have seen multiple people mention that the Rope Guard Pro is not holding up just like the X1s. It comes dislodged and pulled apart from the midsole, which basically makes the shoe unusable, especially unusable for rope climbing. But I did not do any rope climbs. I do not have a rope high enough here in my gym, so I cannot speak to that. Besides that, I feel like the durability is good. I've ran with them, I've done burpees, I've rubbed them on the concrete, I've rubbed them across the gym floor. The only thing, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, is there's a few fibers, there you can maybe see it, that I somehow nicked the midsole and it's kind of coming loose. I would say that's really to be expected though, with as much as I wore them. I don't think that's out of the ordinary for a new shoe if you're putting it through strenuous work. Comfort, I was pleasantly surprised. I did not get these thinking I was going to like them. I work in healthcare, and some days I'll wear specific dedicated shoes for work, and other days I just grab something out of my closet. And after I got these, wore them a few times, I was surprised. Multiple days I just migrated towards them, grabbed them, wore them all day, walking 20,000 steps, super comfortable despite all that. So that really surprised me at the comfort level of these, considering how uncomfortable the X1s were in my opinion. Sizing is a little different with these. I wear an 8.5 women's, typically. Occasionally I'll need a 9. So I went with my traditional size of 8.5, and I almost think I could have gotten away with an 8, which is very, very rare for me. So that tells me if you're borderline on a size, you should go a half size down. They did stretch a little, not to the point your foot's sliding around, but they did stretch, giving them just a little looser feel. Nothing that I didn't compensate for by lacing them a little tighter. So a nice broken in feel after wearing them a few times. But if you're on the fence, I would recommend a half size down. Pricing, very competitive to other CrossFit shoes, if not on the a little bit cheaper side even. These are $135, any colorway that's out right now. The X1s cost $130. No doubt in my mind, are the upgrades not worth $5? They definitely are. So I know a lot of people don't know about it, but ID me. Reebok offers a very generous and appreciated discount to healthcare workers, teachers, EMT, fire, law enforcement, I think, a wide variety of public service positions, and they offer 40% off. I work in healthcare, I use that discount, and no doubt in my mind, these shoes were definitely worth what I paid. I will most likely buy multiple colorways like I typically do when I like a rendition of a shoe. So I'm excited to see what other colorways they come out with. They dropped an initial like white and black, black and gum I think came out right away, white, black and gum. This is like the citron or some bright orange color. It was a throwback to the Nano 2, which I used to have this same colorway in Nano 2, but I had too many shoes, so I got rid of it. And then I saw this come out, and I was kind of bummed that I didn't have both Nanos in orange. But overall, I think this is a great shoe. It's great for running, squatting, plyometrics, HIIT workouts, lifting heavy, Olympic lifting. I have really no complaints overall with this shoe. No matter what shoe you get, you're gonna have people that like features of it and don't like features of it. So kind of just a broad spectrum, even though there's a few little things I don't like, it's still a good shoe. And no matter what, people are still gonna have minor complaints about different things. So I would definitely try it out if you've been on the fence. It will be a good CrossFit shoe for the next year for you. Other favorite shoes of mine right now are the Metcon 7, which I have on right now. Comfort-wise though, I think I would choose the X2s, are more comfy than the Metcons. Performance, very similar. Metcon might outdo it just a tiny bit, but not marginal. Performance is great, but I do think these are comfier than the Metcon 7s. Other ones, Rad Global shoes, I think those are comfier than these X2s, but I think working out, squatting, especially heavy, these X2s might feel more stable. So there's definitely perks of each shoe that you're gonna find. I've had the last 3 Froning models as well. So I've had the 9, the X, and the X1. There's no Froning X2 out yet. Usually it's months after the original Nano comes out that the Froning version comes out. And the current Froning X1 is probably one of my top shoes I've been wearing through my rotation right now. If you guys want to see a review or my thoughts on those, drop a comment down below and I can do that. I've had all 3 colorways and they're super comfortable. I like the looks of them. They're easy to get on and off. I think they're pretty much sold out everywhere though, but these are very comparable to the current Froning model, which I really like. So let me know if you have any questions and I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks for watching. All right, so I'm in the house now and we're gonna see what these weigh in comparison with the X1 and X2. So women's size 8.5 is 1 pound, 3.3 ounces for the X1. Maybe an extra like half of ounces added for that mud that's on there. And the X2, 1.41 ounces. So not a huge difference. Definitely not noticeable to me, but there is a little bit of a difference. So I also just want to add, I forgot to add this earlier, that I know it's important in review videos to practice what you preach, for you guys to see me actually working out and doing the movements in the shoes, which I am an absolute basic beginning videographer, whatever you want to call it, and I am working on getting more footage of me working out added to these videos. So you'll see a little bit more in this one than prior ones, but I am still trying, so bear with me, and we'll keep adding more and more footage of me working out. Thanks.